Hello and thanks for joining the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the program, at last, President Buhari visits Benue State, opt for negotiations for freedom of Dapchi schoolgirls. And later on the show, 24 more persons killed in ongoing violence in Plateau State. And House of Reps recalls Honorable Abdulmumin Jibrin from suspension. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Olayinka Oyegbile, and Wahid Bakari. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Before I start today's show, I would like to correct a misrepresentation yesterday. I actually said Katsina State actually gave the president, Mr. President, President Muhammadu Buhari, the highest vote in the 2015 general election. But on the contrary, immediately after the program, we got a lot of reaction. I'm sorry, the people of Kano State actually gave Mr. President 1.903999 votes, making Kano State the highest, followed by Katsina with 1.345441 million votes, and followed by Kaduna State in that order. Kaduna State is 1.1 million. So Kano State had the highest votes for the last election that gave President Muhammadu Buhari in the 2015 presidential election. Now, let's go to the business of today. The popular saying, better late than never, held no sway when President Muhammadu Buhari visited Benue State. Unlike the 2015 crowd, 2015 when crowd welcomed him to Makurdi during the election campaign, he was greeted by empty protests, empty streets, and distraught residents. For many, the president's visit was a little too late after the massacre of hundreds of people and displacement of thousands following herdsmen and farmers' clashes. On Monday, President Buhari denounced insinuations of abandonment. He said he was not aware the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, ignored his instruction to relocate to Benue State during the crisis. But Benue people say they want the killings to end. They want compensation for the families of the deceased persons, help for internally displaced persons, and the federal government's support for the anti-open grazing law. Are they asking for too much? Babajide, when I started out today, I think President Muhammadu Buhari saying that he gave a certain order to the Inspector General of Police, and the Inspector General of Police refused to carry it out. I expect, as the Commander-in-Chief, refused to carry it out. I expect today something should have happened.
Yes. That is what we should expect, because if the president said the IG should go to Benue, I expect that for a minimum of 3 days at least, the IG will be right there in Benue working hard to solve the problem. But if the IG went there, made a fleeting trip to the place, and then left maybe the next day, there's no way you can call that one a relocation. It's no relocation.
As in just for that day, and
if you just went there that day
to fulfill,
and the next day you are in Nasarawa State, and they are seeing you taking pictures with people in Nasarawa, and you never returned, then you didn't relocate. Then you didn't carry out the instruction. Because the president didn't say visit. If the president said, IG, visit Benue, then if he spent just 1 minute in Benue, he will have carried out the president's instruction. But if he said relocate to that place and go and solve the problem, Nigerians will expect that at the minimum, he would do at least 3 days, hold meetings with critical stakeholders, visit the trouble spots, because the IG initially even gave the impression that he does not have a good hang on the problem by saying that it was a communal problem. Yeah. So looking at that, you want to assume that he had very little understanding of the main cause of the problem. So that way, it needed to be there to do extensive investigation and then try to solve the problem. We've seen the police and the army in difficult times send crack detectives. They say, go to that place, relocate, go to that place and solve that problem.
Yes.
And they will go there, they will stay for some time, and they will solve the problem.
Yes. Leading from
the front.
The heart of.
But if you were told to go there, the president told you to relocate, and the next day they saw you in Nasarawa, you are taking pictures with people, that means you've disobeyed the president.
It's not always our style to take the leading question, but I'm tempted to ask you this supporting question that in Nasarawa State, what might have happened that people stayed off the streets? We saw what happened in Benue, sorry. We saw what happened in Jos. People were even climbing the billboards just to catch a glimpse of Mr. President, showing the strength of Mr. President in Benue State, in Jos, and the first state he went to. What was this first state before Benue State?
I went to Kaduna.
Taraba. In Taraba State, the crowd was awesome. So, what happened in Benue State?
If the president goes to Kaduna, whether it's an impromptu visit or not, the streets will be jammed.
Lockdown.
Yes. If he goes to Bauchi, whether it's impromptu or not, the streets will be jammed. If he goes to Niger, whether it's impromptu or not, the streets will be jammed.
If he goes to
Kano. If he goes to Kano, which is the state where you have more people who love the president per square meter than any other part of Nigeria, the streets will be jammed. You saw what happened during the campaigns. Even our vehicle, people were standing on our vehicle. The crowd in Kano was the largest in any part of the country that the president visited. You know, people fainted and all that. But we are talking of North Central. Apart from Niger State in the North Central, there is nowhere else where the president has cult following. Niger, any day he wins elections in Niger. But remember, Nasarawa, he has even lost elections in the past, you know, in Nasarawa. Jonathan defeated him there in Nasarawa.
2011.
Now, so the point is then, Benue. Benue, for years, was PDP until SUSWAM refused to pay salaries, and then some teachers were committing suicide and all that, and they decided to teach him a political lesson. So the same thing happened in Plateau. Plateau had never been a Buhari state, or even an AP or a CPC state. But when the governor, out of selfishness, the then governor, Jonah Jang,
brought his in-law.
Yes, wanted to be the only person to decide who succeeds him. Then the big people in that state, Jerry Husseini, Simon Lalong, all of them say, okay, if this is what you do, we will leave the party for you, and we will not vote for your candidate. So that governor lost. So what I'm trying to say is that the kind of spontaneous response to the president that you see in the far north, you do not expect to see it in every part of the north. So, and there is also the matter of mobilization. People also need to be mobilized. I'm not saying that they must be bribed, but the party at what level, and then the state government will arrange for the president to get a befitting reception. Because for the governor of the state, if the president gets a befitting reception with those big crowds, it is good for the governor. It's good for his image. The president will see the governor as very loyal. But if you look at Benue, I don't think that the present governor of Benue State cares about whether Buhari sees him as loyal or not.
Okay. Wahid, what would have happened? Because the Buhari thingy, as in the crowd, the super tanker thingy, could not be reenacted in Borno State. Benue State, and we know what would have led to that.
Of course, it is very obvious that I was not surprised that it was not a large turnout, for Mr. President, because of the fact that people are angry, and they think that is one of the ways with which they can show their anger. We are talking of a place where people have been killed over times. Almost on a daily basis, people are being killed. It got to a peak on January 1, when everybody, was in a joyous mood. Some people were sad,
Celebrated.
They were just fed up that on that particular, the first day of the year, over 70 people were killed. And there was no immediate words from the presidency, either to commiserate with the people or to give them the assurance that, we are with you in this time of need. We are going to provide necessary security. There was nothing of such. Before you know it, after 2 or 3 days, there was another one. And it has become a routine. It's just a matter of how many are being killed. There are so many villages that were not being secured by security agents. Despite the fact that we also have them in large number. Interestingly, after the massacre, they said they launched operation, what was it called then? Even that one was not even good enough to stop the killings. So because of that, people are fed up. They are not happy with Mr. President. And also remember that, there was no public holiday. Unlike in the past, where they allow you to declare public holiday, school children will be asked to stay at home. Some of them will even be lined up the streets to welcome Mr. President. I read in some newspaper whereby some residents, they are not even bothered. They are not care whether Mr. President comes, because most of them saw it coming as rather too little, too late. That it will not serve any purpose. That's why I think that's why most of them stay off the streets, as a way of showing their anger that they are not happy with the way Mr. President has handled the security situation in that part of the country.
Ika, would this be reflected
in 2019?
In 2019, would this be the pattern of votes? Can this tell us what will happen in that particular state?
I strongly believe so. The reason is that if the Mr. President had acted or even said some, it doesn't even matter as of then whether he visited or not. There was no statement, no word, nothing from the president. It was the Femi Adesina, Garba Shehu, or the minister of this and all that were issuing statements.
They speak on behalf of Mr. President.
It is not unlike the president. Let me give you a scenario. We all here are fathers, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
You are at home. You are watching TV in your sitting room, and your children are in the compound fighting. And your wife called you and said, Daddy, Lagbaja, they are fighting, this, and that. And then you just remain there. You continue watching your TV, and you didn't say anything. Just ordinary stand up from where you are watching your TV and just shout at them could have stopped the fight. But you sit down there and you continue enjoying your TV. And then after they finish fighting or killing themselves or whatever happened, you now stand up and go there. For what?
After people pressured you
to act. You now stand up and go there. What do you expect people to come and welcome you and say that, oh, you have done very well, you are a good father? No. And this is the way we should look at it. No matter what you say about President Trump, I remember, I think it was was it in Japan or something? No life is too little, or no life is too many. Only if I have if my memory serves me right, it was only one person or so that was killed in the US then. The man had to abandon his trip to Japan and come back home. For the sake of it, just one person, one life. And here you have over 70. I believe very strongly that both the president's men who are defending him, that the president doesn't have to speak every time and all that, if they were on this side of the divide that we have, they were also like us, they were journalists like us before they got there. Will Femi Adesina writing his back page column, if he were not to be the president's spokesman, will he not criticize the president? Will he say the president has done very well by not going? I mean, look, I expected, in fact, what I expected in Benue was exactly what happened. In fact, some of the things that one expected will have happened, perhaps didn't happen because people were also either respecting because of his age and office and also afraid. I mean, people's emotions have been so welled up that people were killed. Rather than go to Benue first, he went to Nasarawa State. So now, what do you expect? Do you expect, even if the governor had declared a public holiday,
They won't come out.
nobody will come out?
Today, why do we have a kind of, it's like a deja vu of what happened in 2015? I remember in Borno State, when former President Goodluck Jonathan failed to visit Borno State, as at that time they were ravaged by Boko Haram insurgents and everything. APC governors actually went to the market in Borno, as at that time, to show in the show of strength.
Exactly.
They went to, and people received them very well. They are Muslims of this world. Everybody, they went to that market and they actually, made a kind of political statement. Olusegun Obasanjo has been
Solidarity with their fellow APC
yeah, fellow APC governor. Now we've had Yisom Wike, we've had Dele Fayose. Immediately after that thing, they've been to this same Benue State.
Obasanjo too.
And Obasanjo recently
Even went to the graveside.
Went to the graveside. What kind of pattern do we have? 2015, 2019, playing out of this scenario?
Just as we said yesterday, even the impunity, the kind of impunity that PDP represented, which hurt the party ultimately in the national elections. We are seeing that being replicated by the APC. Governors thinking that they constitute God in themselves. They showed that so much in the PDP. We are seeing that happening now. Nigerians expect much more from their leaders, whether they are in APC or in the PDP, than they are seeing. And some of the comments, like a friend of mine on Facebook, he said, that when Senator Shehu Sani spoke about what they earn in the Senate, just a little bit of what they earn in the Senate, that he expected some of the APC senators to follow suit and say, yes, this is what we earn, we think this is obscene, we think that something has to be done. And they were mentioning some of those famous APC senators that over the years, they are deified as people worthy of respect at any point in time. But they are tongue-tied, and he's saying, what is happening? So there are some things that Jonathan did for which we slated him, for which we pilloried him, for which we called him clueless. We are seeing our president do some of those things. And you see, for people who over the years had projected the president, had marketed the president, is a kind of dilemma. It's a kind of dilemma because we are now like sitting ducks. The sitting duck is so easy to pick for the sniper. We are now like sitting ducks for people to poke fun at us, for people to take pot shots at us. We are now like sitting ducks. When an argument crops up and you say certain things, you want to defend the president.
Oh, people will come for you.
I know even for some of us who have had the courage to make the president, the picture of the president, our DP. I know the kind of recriminations that have come with it, the insults that have come with it. Because people think, oh, he's a journalist at his level. I read what someone said, that, oh, look at Jide, a big journalist using the president's picture. Whereas on this program,
I don't have an opinion.
It's my opinion. It's not your business what I say. It is my opinion. I'm not the anchor of the show. The anchor of the show is the one who has business with balance, with fairness. It's my opinion. If I put double the president's picture as my DP, it's not anybody's business because it's my decision. But as a person, I'm disappointed about many things. I expect the president to do better than he's doing. And as someone who has loved him over the years, I still think that he can change some things. I still think that some of the people around the president don't deserve to work for him. They don't deserve to work for Nigeria. They work for themselves. And we think that they've even had enough working for themselves. So the president has to change. He still has time between now and the time of the election.
I wish.
No, the truth is, he is not in a particularly bad situation. Because what are we talking about? What is the PDP? Are you saying the PDP now is such a threat? No, the president is not in a particularly very bad situation. But he is in a situation that is bad.
He's vulnerable.
No, it's in a situation that he needs to do something about. I won't say vulnerable, because vulnerable, in my view, appear to be exaggerating things. Because in assessing the strength of the president or the strength of his party, I have to look at the parties around. How strong are they? How much challenge can they pose? So that is what will represent whether the president, can still win an election.
Funny enough, with all these things happening, I go back to read Abati's piece, which he wrote some time ago, and which people were criticizing him, that there is a spirit in Asoro that changes people when they get there. Somehow, I tend to believe him now. Because there are so many things happening now that you begin to wonder.
Let me quickly pick my first caller for today. Yakub is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Yakub.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening to you all.
Good evening, Yakub.
Good evening, my brother.
Yeah, Babajide, I can tell you, you are not the only person received for all those things that you said. Somebody like me, I only said it on your sister program, which is This Morning.
Yes.
In fact, I've said it one time ago in This Morning that if I would be Mr. President, I have opportunity to be a president, I would have loved you personally, Babajide, to become a spokesman, even though you have been rejected something like that you will never do. Even if you take me to prostrate for you to become a spokesman, I will do that. Because reason is this: if you cannot tell your boss the truth, you are the greatest enemy of that your boss. And then I believe somebody like you, like most of your guests said earlier, maybe something in that has my father can tell. We don't know. But I believe somebody like if you are a spokesman to Mr. President, and then you tell him to do something, and then I know that you will resign. And that is what those people normally they're supposed to do. Now, Mr. President went to Benue, and then he go there, and then you know what Mr. President saying that is even annoying me personally. He said, I'm not promising you anything now. Yeah. Maybe when I come for campaign, you see, Babajide, I sometimes think that I don't expect my president to say because I love him so much. Good evening. It is annoying.
Thank you, Yakub. Jide will not make a good politician. He's not diplomatic, so I can tell you for free. He will tell me his principal the truth, and the truth might not be palatable with his principal, and he might get fired.
What people don't know is that for the people who are go into politics, go work for this, be SA to this person, be PA. What they do not know is that as far back as even 2006, I had an opportunity to work for a minister, for a finance minister in this country, and I was going to be paid in dollars. And I rejected the offer. I rejected the offer. I was interviewed by 3 ministers. So you see, the thing is, the position where God puts you, you are still able to make meaningful impact. And if your joy is doing a job, because I see people who are almost more than 80 years practicing journalism and still enjoying it. If what you do, you find joy there, you don't want to go and work for a governor
And be a yes-sir person.
who is not even mature enough.
Yes, ma'am.
That when you now even come up with ideas, I saw a former colleague who began to work for a governor, and he was talking to the governor and he was on his knees. I'm sure you people remember that person. Somebody who rose to the top in our profession. It's not all of us who want to be groveling at the foot of immoral politicians. No, it's not everybody. But wherever we are, we should be able to contribute still to nation building. So, and that is where I believe the first family, they watch our program. I know that the president's wife is a lover of this program. We know that we have evidence of that. The vice president, they watch. So at least occasionally we see them do some of the things that we advise them to do.
Impact.
So that is making impact. That is good. That is
Impact,
good.
that's
That
joy.
gives us joy.
We're not just
we don't
talking.
have to go and work for them. The moment you go and work for them,
They would have
you
pocketed
become
us.
a different animal. An animal that cannot open his mouth to talk, that cannot correct his boss. No,
be a conquered person.
Yes. No, he conquered and clobbered.
Anyway, any other day we discuss further on that. Because,
You just said conquered and clobbered. We go on this break. When we come back, despite Plateau State, we talk about Plateau State. Please stay with us. The groundbreaking program of the year. That's Journalist Hangout. We're reaching you live from Television Continental here in our headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. And Plateau State is still burning despite President Muhammadu Buhari's visit to the states. On Monday, 24 persons were killed in a fresh herdsmen attack in Miango district of Basa local government. It happened a few hours to the scheduled mass burial of those slaughtered in a previous attack. One suspect is now in the police net. What is really going on? And for some time now, Plateau State came down and relative peace. Wahid?
Even while the president was there, I think there were killings too. Maybe the number was not as many as we have now. You know, but I was surprised.
On the day he left the place.
On the day he left the place, there were killings
like
there.
19 people.
They killed 19 people or so. And here we are now, they have killed 24 people. Like we have said.
And the president inaugurated they called it a roadmap for peace.
Roadmap for peace.
And somebody inaugurated roadmap for peace. Right there, while he's still
While
in
he's
there,
still there,
they are already killing
They already
themselves.
started killing people. You know, like we have said on this program, tell you that number, as long as there are no consequences
That is the
for the killing
problem.
of the person, people will continue to do it. It's a natural thing. People will continue to do it. My only fear is that people that have been arrested so far, are we sure they are not trying to make scapegoats out of those people? Maybe they just go somewhere. You never can trust some of these our security agents. Maybe they just went somewhere, rounded up some people, and presented them as the killer, just to give us the impression that they're actually doing something. When in the recess of it, they are not doing anything. Look at when the president went to, was it not Taraba? And he was confronted with father. Why is it that you have not been visiting some of these places, where things are happening with this magnitude? He did say that he has a way of gathering his own intelligence. He doesn't have to visit places. But the question is, the intelligence that you are gathering, how well are they? How good are they to stop this killing? They are not doing anything. They are not stopping any killing. People are being killed almost on a daily basis. If you look at it, between now, we are just in mid-March. Mid-March.
Between January and the end of February, 1,710 Nigerians
have been killed.
Yeah.
How do you account for that?
700
are
killed
people,
in January alone.
These are people that will have contributed their own quotas to the development of the country, and they have been killed by.
I want to even ask you,
Yeah.
for those people that grew up in Nigeria in the 60s and the 70s, we grew up in an environment that's, you don't hear of suicide bombers.
no.
You hardly hear of, this kind of killing, large scale.
Yeah.
Life wasn't this cheap and brutish. At what point in time did we?
No, you see, let me first of all talk about the one why do we mystify this issue of security reports and all that? Are we saying that the president is so busy that he can't watch the news? Are we saying the president is so busy that he can't listen to news? Are we saying the president is so busy that he can't even live through pages of newspapers? Or what security report are we expecting the president to get that he cannot get by watching news? What security report is greater than sit down in your room, even if it is just 15 minutes, get the essence of what happened in your country? And then back to what you are talking about. We have grown, the world has advanced so much now that what we never saw when we were all growing up are happening now. Technology has grown so much. I mean, if you go on the internet now, there are 1,001 ways. Just type in how to commit suicide. You will see,
Yes.
they will give you how to make IED. You will get it.
In some European countries, you even have specified hotels. If you want to commit suicide, they will assist
the world
you.
has advanced
to
so
make it
much
easy.
that things that we never thought about, that things that we never even thought would ever happen, are happening now. So what is left now is for security agents, for individuals. We agree security is not
to step up their game
exactly.
too. Advance.
Security is not for the government alone. You and I must also be watchful. But as much as we are watchful, those who are saddled with the responsibility of making this ensuring security must be there. I mean, it is not everywhere that you are going to guard. Are you going to stay at the gate of the market and search everybody going into the market? No. But there are ways people are always very, very observant. Now, if you go anywhere and you are a stranger there, especially outside Nigeria, if you are going round and round in a circle, you will see a policeman one way or the other. Gentlemen, can I help you? But here, you can go from, you can be in a place for 24 hours. No security man will challenge you. But in other places, if a man is standing in a place aimlessly for 2 hours, somebody will come and accost you. Gentlemen, I've been looking at you since. What are you looking for? Who are you looking for?
Do you need help?
Exactly.
Okay,
But we don't have that here.
I have Samuel calling from Abuja. Thank you for joining us, Samuel.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Samuel.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Samuel.
I'm really glad having
Trying to call
listening
us.
to you guys again this evening. It's been a very wonderful night. My regards to Babajide, doing a great job there.
Thank you, Samuel.
Your analysis is just what we are expecting. I think the Benue issue, in fairness to anybody, is a very dicey and unfortunate incident. But in as much as we are blaming General Buhari for not having time to go to Benue, we should also look at the itinerary of the president. This man has really tried, fairness to him, because of the problems he inherited. Nigeria is becoming a very complex country where people don't have respect for life any longer. We should look at it from that angle, that we need to live together. And at the same time, talk to ourselves. Peace is very important, wherever we are. Let us look for a way to see how we'll be able to tolerate one another and make peace at all times so that lives can be spared. The president is overwhelmed with regards to what is going on. And the governors, they should be up and doing. Let them make sure that they preach. Traditional rulers, religious leaders, let us come together and see how we can stay together. Nigeria is almost getting out of hand. You don't even know where you put your head. Everywhere is disaster.
Thank you,
I
Samuel.
believe God might decide to assist us because these are problems that have been piling up over the years.
Thank you for your lovely contribution, Samuel. Julie, let's take a cue from what Samuel has said. We know that right now, Benue might be a one-off case, but we know it's not possible. At the rates people get killed across Nigeria, it's not possible for Mr. President to be visiting all the states one by one. Because if you get data, if
The
you
rate
get
at which they are killing
yes, they're killing people. It's not like America that something will just happen in Florida and the president is there because it's not.
They are not constant. They are not
it's not
constantly
terrorism
killing
of this nature. But if you look at what is happening in Borno State, where you have bomb blasts per day,
Mambila,
in Yobe State, in Taraba State, in Zamfara State, in Kaduna State, Southern Kaduna particularly, Mr. President cannot be everywhere. I think taking a cue from what Samuel said.
Yes, I think that we need to stop killing ourselves. We need to stop behaving like we still belong to the 18th century. I mean,
The hatred is just
the hatred,
unimaginable.
and he said something that I also, even before I came here today, I was thinking about it, that do people still believe in the sanctity of human life anymore? Because the rate at which we're wasting ourselves, I mean, if you want to ask that, this is human life for God's sake. And the religions preach against it. You cannot take a man's life needlessly. Even the Quran says that it is better you destroy the Kaaba than to take a man's life needlessly. The Quran says that.
But on the contrary, you have
But
a lot
we
of
see
people
just
killing
hatred.
in the name of...
We do not, and you see, part of what is happening is caused by the fact that we allow people to come into our country. The Fulanis that are killing our people, a lot of them are not Nigerians. I've been saying it.
They're not our regular Fulanis, they are our friends.
When we say Fulani, when we condemn the criminal Fulani, some people get angry needlessly. The Fulanis in Nigeria are also victims of the criminal Fulanis who are coming from Niger Republic.
Rustlers.
They are coming, they are the cattle rustlers. They are coming in from outside Nigeria to kill our people. The president said it in Taraba that some of those Fulanis are even coming in from as far as Libya. So let's condemn the people who are killing people here.
Ghana,
let's identify them and ensure that they are brought to justice. You can't be coming into our country to kill our people. We have to put a stop to that. Yes, we are hospitable people. We receive you warmly. You know, you belong to our religion, we receive you warmly. But you have no license to come into Nigeria, from Niger Republic, from Mauritania, from all of these countries, and be killing our people.
From Bamako.
So we have to tell ourselves that, look, enough is enough. From Mali, you come here and you are just you come in with your gun and you are wasting people. They are hiring you to kill fellow Nigerians. It has to stop. During the stakeholders meeting with the military authorities in Taraba, that point was made that if we summon the political will to go after these criminal Fulanis who are coming from outside our country, carrying guns to kill our people, if we will start arresting them and making them account for why they are carrying those guns. I was happy that they arrested one, I think 2 days ago in Plateau, after he had killed 16 persons. One person, because he had an AK-47, he killed 16. So if we start arresting those people, hopefully peace will come. And what Obasanjo just said, that look, security agencies must work together, is the truth. You can see now, there is this guy, the leader of the criminal gang of bandits killing people in Zamfara. One guy, they call him Buhari Ndaji.
Buhari Ndaji, yes.
They killed him. How did they kill him? The governor of Zamfara abused the security agencies. And he's supposed to be one of the closest governors to the president. He abused the security agencies. He said, look, I told them that these people will strike. And yet they struck, they still kill people. What are they doing? Now, the security agencies came together. They stormed that forest and they succeeded in killing the ringleader. That is the sort of thing that we want to see.
Maybe the governor will need to abuse them the more. All right. We have to move on. Last Thursday on Journalist Hangout, we discussed the fate that could before any legislator that goes against the grain. This was epitomized by former chairman of the House Committee on Appropriation, Abdulmumun Jubril. We recall a budget padding saga in 2016 that eventually led to Jubrin's suspension. The lawmaker who represents Bebeji Kiru in federal constituency in Kano State has now served 180 legislative days suspension. Though Jubrin had vowed not to apologize for his involvement in the budget padding saga. On Tuesday, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, showed Jubrin's letter of apology to his colleagues. He said the suspended lawmaker can resume anytime he wishes. Let's watch this first.
If you want to learn your lesson in this country, Abdulmumuni Jubrin, for going against Dogara, they not only locked up his office, they succeeded in chasing him out of the country. Who has fought for him?
We all kept quiet.
So if Omawurare and the rest of them decided to button up their lips in the Senate, so as not to allow that fate that befell Ndume or Abdulmumini to befall them, you cannot blame them.
Wahid,
Well,
let me start from you before you.
It's quite unfortunate, you know, and with this kind of treatment that was meted out to Jubrin, it will make a lot of lawmakers, you know, to refrain from saying the truth if they found one at any point in time. Because you discover that he was like a lone ranger.
Yes.
You know, there was nobody beside him.
Nobody fought for him.
Nobody fought for him. He was on his own
kept
throughout.
quiet.
You know, he came out with overwhelming evidence. Nobody bothered to look into those evidences and discover whether they are true or not. You know, to the extent that at a point in time, his life was even at stake, as it's all he had to run out of the country. You know, it's quite unfortunate. As we speak now, I'm not even sure that a similar fate will not befall the senator.
Sure,
you know, because there's this constitutional gang up against whoever wants to speak the truth, either at the lower chamber or the upper chamber. It has become the pattern over the years. You know, if you think that you know too much, you want to say too much, they have a way of keeping you quiet, which is not good for the polity. For how long are we going to continue to be doing this kind of thing? It's quite unfortunate.
Yinka Egbele, this 8th assembly, they've not spared anybody. Now, we have court rulings that have even, you know, have ruled that, you know, suspending these lawmakers more than 2 weeks will be, you know, robbing them of their people, their constituents, of quality legislation and everything. But the lawmakers, we've had Alin Dume, we've had this Jubrin, and we've had people that anytime they want to talk, they think twice, unless the first thing they do, they refer you to Committee on Ethics. Immediately, Committee on Ethics, you come before them. Immediately, they give you a damage verdict. You come to the House. If it's suspension, pronto, you're on suspension. I'm praying for Omar Agege and Abdullahi, Adamu Abdullahi now.
In this matter is that what the National Assembly has been able to teach us is that there is actually nothing the constituents will miss if we send their representative away. Because now a court of law, this is supposed to be a house that makes law. A court of law has ruled that you don't have the power to suspend members, but you became the law yourself. You became, is it...
Dino Melaye versus Dimeji Bankole and co.
Exactly. Was it
the 6th Assembly or 7th Assembly?
De Gaulle, the former French president that said, I am the state. So that is what is happening now.
The system.
So this is what is happening now. Now, if a law court says you don't have the power, yet they went ahead and suspended this man, and the man has come back now to say, I'm sorry. Now, with all the evidences laid on the table at that time, are we saying this thing is true, is not true? That the man was telling lies? This is what we say, that the more things change, the more they remain the same. Because, look, if it were to be under the government, the past government, our current Minister of Information will have latched onto it, and many people will have latched onto it. They will criticize and talk and talk. So it is, what it means now is that the shoe is on the other foot now. So everything is okay. Go ahead. Go on song, as they say on the street. I mean, what is happening?
How come the likes of Jubrin did not have people that will even back him up?
Who will back
in
him
a house
up?
of 360, if it's not.
You want them
about
to
what
miss
you
all
want
the
to
million
eat.
they are collecting. That is what is
The
happening.
thing is,
360 lawmakers.
let's be objective. Why are we limiting? Why are we limiting support for this man to the lower chamber? What did we, the rest of us Nigerians, what did we do for this man? What did we do? What did the EFCC do? At that time, the EFCC was running around at that time.
So, they invited him.
And they
he
said,
was
no,
invited, we are working on it.
They
and
wasted
everything.
his time.
They were waiting for
At
body
the end
language.
of the day, nothing. Maybe they were told, no, don't move.
Don't go there.
And you know, Dogara is a smart politician. When you look at him, you think this is a smart politician. He was fighting his party initially. What did he do? Later on, the people that his party wanted to put in the
Principal officers.
he allowed them in. And what did he do next? He increased the number of committees in the House of Reps and gave more positions, even the juiciest positions, to the PDP.
The more the merrier.
He gave more of the juicy positions to the PDP. So, but what the party wanted, so that they will leave him alone, he managed to do it. He gave we considered, that's why, my friend, the lawmaker from Kano, Adodogwa, that's how he became a chief whip. The leader now, the leader of the house, he did his best, he pleased them, so that they will leave him alone, you know? So, if you ask them, the APC hierarchy, if you ask them, they still see him as a better boy than the backstabber from Kwara. That's the way they will see him. I know this person is a good boy. At least he has listened to the leaders of the party. After that, he can decide to treat his colleagues like a sweet wrap on the floor. Nobody wants to talk again. How we have treated, you look at the civil society organizations in our country, they should be ashamed of themselves. Because even this, that they have been talking about the way Abdulmone Jibrin was treated for so long. I said, how come nobody is fighting for this guy? And we want people in future in such privileged positions to speak the truth.
On behalf of
when
the
they've seen the way when they spoke the truth and they were abandoned, fed to the wolves. Is this how people do?
Was it cowed? Was it cowed to apologize?
No, what if you were in a shoe? He came to Nigeria and met the president. I was excited. I said maybe the president would try and resolve this. But what happened? Nothing happened.
Go and apologize.
They had a secret meeting. They didn't tell us what transpired during this meeting with the president.
We are seeing
And
the
he has
fruits.
been at home. He's one of the brightest lawmakers from northern Nigeria. He's very eloquent. This is a man who fought Okonjo-Iweala to stand still. And everyone was proud of him. He confronted Okonjo-Iweala and said, look, madam, you cannot come here and railroad us. Many people have forgotten the role that Abdulmone Jibrin played at that time. You know? So today, he had these issues with Dogara, and everybody just left him to his fate. We should be ashamed of ourselves, the way we treated Jibrin. So, Jibrin, Abdulmone Jibrin. If he now, I don't blame him. He's been away for too long. You have not helped him in any way. You have not tried to help him to resolve the problem.
If he returns
I still remember that the governor of Borno State, at least, went to see Bukola Saraki over on Dume's matter. You know, but the governor was told, look, we cannot do anything. It's the decision of the House. But at least the governor made effort. Who were the people who made efforts on behalf of this fellow? Nobody. Why are the civil society organizations, did they even try to organize works or try to even picket the National Assembly? How many press conferences have they organized to denounce the lawmakers and all that,
Defense of
to
Human
say
Rights.
this and that? To say, look, the way you've treated
Campaign
this
for
man is wrong.
democracy.
All of them, they are just there, always looking for funding from foreign countries. What have they done in this matter to say, this is our country, we have a stake in this country should be better run? What have they done? People are stealing mindlessly through the budget every year. These are budgets that we never ever succeed in implementing up to 40%.
At all.
And we are stealing through the budget every year. And someone came out to expose his colleagues, and we didn't do anything.
And
We just
all
left
the
him
evidence he has.
alone. I saw them when they went to his office and they were locking the place as if he was a common criminal.
Yeah.
They locked his office. They chased out his legislative staff, this Dogara and co. And we left them alone. If the people punish Dogara in this way, if they are allowed, if they are not voted out, then even the electorate in Nigeria, they don't know what they are doing. They should be punished.
And you also recall that while the battle was going on, he wrote 3 separate letters to Mr. President. But up to now, nobody knows whether the letter got to Mr. President or not. To the extent that the other party, they were even trying to lie that, he was prevented from seeing Mr. President until when he had to come out that no, there was not. I have never met Mr. President. But no, even for his presidency, nobody came out to say, oh, it is true. He sent these 3 letters. How can he send 3 letters to Mr. President detailing
no action,
detailing the alleged fraud that was going on, and nobody did anything about it? It's quite unfortunate.
What does it say about our fight against corruption? This administration's mantra.
That's what I was saying now, that the more things change, the more they remain the same. I mean, it looks as if the fight against corruption is just for them to win our votes, and then everything remains the same. Because there's no way anyone can convince me on this jubilee matter. Nobody has come out to say that all the evidences he provided are fake and so on. We have thrown them away. And the man has become a place. He said, please, I'm sorry, let me come back and continue to eat my food.
Finally, should he continue to be a crusader? Will he be profitable?
He will not. He will not. He has learned his lesson.
In a bitter way.
In a bitter way. So Dogara will feel now like the biggest dog in the yard.
Yeah.
We'll be strutting around now that I taught him a lesson. I taught him a political lesson. I taught him an exemplary lesson. That's what he will be saying.
He wishes he can come and resume.
Even when he comes in now, they won't be allowing him to talk.
Yeah.
Yes, they won't put on his microphone.
They won't be allowing him to talk. So they just shut him up.
Yeah. Yes, there's a way they...
You politicians like Nigeria, the politicians behave like the alpha male. They behave like lion. The alpha male and the pride of the lion pride behaves like God. So that's how the politician, when he has the opportunity to crush you, he makes sure that he crushes you permanently.
Completely.
So he's going into that house, they won't allow him to constitute any nuisance to anybody. He will just be there quietly.
We told the line of Kabiru Marfa. Kabiru Marfa, the activist we used to see.
No, he retired as an activist. And then they gave him, they compensated him with.
And he sealed up his lips.
He will not be a good boy.
Petroleum downstream.
Said that to him. Wow.
The other thing they can do is, okay, we won't give you anything, but they will put you under permanent risk of suspension. So when you know that you are facing, that permanent risk of suspension, every time they want to talk, you will go inside the toilet.
I want to thank you, Olayigawe Ebile, for being part of this exciting episode of Journalist Hangouts. I want to thank you, Wahid Bakari, and the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Thank you.
Thank you
and
so
much. And that's it on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight. And you can also watch Journalist Hangout on all our platforms showing on the screen. You can catch us on YouTube. That's youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozuakun. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.